Hey everybody, thank you for clicking on this video. I really appreciate your support. If you haven't subscribed and liked, please consider doing so. So for those that are new to the channel that have never been here before, what I try to do is I'll take an old project, an electronic project from old magazines. So every month, Popular Electronics, Radio Electronics, they would probably have some sort of a construction project inside the magazine. And they go all the way back to like 1954, all the way up to about 2003. So what I'm doing, and luckily these magazines are still online. So what I do is I take these projects from way back and then build them and then show them to you. So hopefully this one will work out. I've had one before where it didn't work out. I had to give up on it, but maybe one day I'll come back to it. But today what we're going to do is we're going to build an audio level meter. So it's essentially a VU meter for your stereo or anything audio. I know it's pretty simple, but hey, we're just doing this for fun, right? Have a lot of fun, and I'm sure I'll have a couple headaches along the way, and but that's what electronics is all about, learning. So I've got the parts. Well, I haven't got them all. I've got most of the parts. I did have to order the most important part, the LM3915, and those are on the way. I've got a good source. They're hard to get, but I think I've got a genuine source, so I'm just waiting for those. And I think I have most of the other things. So we're off to the races when it comes to that. What else can I say? Oh, well, actually, here's the board. So what I tend to do first is take the PC board from the magazine, put it into a photo editor, clean it up, reverse the image if I have to, and then print it out on this special paper here. Well, this is a special, but the one that I do print it out is a bit of a special paper, and then I use the toner transfer method to get that onto a circuit board, which I've already done. And in fact, I started this project without creating an intro, so I'm trying to get ahead of myself here. So anyway, I have imprinted the board design on this PC board. So the next thing for me to do is actually put it in some water so that the paper comes off, and hopefully the traces come out good. So I'll bring you back in once I get that paper off the board. Okay, so I put the PC board in some cold water, and the paper came off as planned, thankfully. And it looks pretty good. Now, the lines are very fine, but I think I'm good. And what you're seeing right now, by the way, is that the lines are going gray. That's only because there's a residual paper left over on the actual lines and the pads. But needless to say, when I put it in the etchant, the ferric chloride, it will not touch those lines. It'll just eat away at all the other copper. So what I'm going to do, it's getting late in the day, so I'll probably put this in the etchant tank tomorrow, and I'll show you what it looks like. Hopefully it's going to be good. I'll buzz the traces out and everything else. But for now, let's call it a day, and we'll be right back. Okay, so I've got the board etched, and there are some traces that are definitely open, so I'm going to have to fix that. So the lines were very, very, very fine, as you can kind of see. But I think I can make something out of it. It is a very thin PC board too, by the way. It's, gosh darn it, maybe like 1 millimeter at the most, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, maybe once I get some components on it, it'll make it more rigid, but either way, I'll make it work. So the top portion of this board, I'm going to cut it off, is for the LEDs. So that'll go somehow on the faceplate of the box. And this bottom portion, of course, the actual circuitry to make it all work. Anyway, so the next step, I think, is to drill it out first. I'll get my little drill out, and then I will fix the traces, and then I'll start putting some components on it. And I'll bring you back once I get a couple of the components on. All right, hang on, we'll be right back. So I thought I'd just jump in here. I know the last part I'd mentioned I would drill the holes and put the fixes in for the wires. I just wanted to show you the system that I have, essentially. It's a Dremel drill, and in fact, it doesn't even fit this carriage for the drill press itself, but I kind of made it fit in. I put some tie straps around it and kind of does the job. What I also found out was there wasn't enough light. So, you know, my vision's not the greatest, but you know, I'm working on it. So I attached this flashlight. So I just zip tied a flashlight on the side there, and yeah, so that's the drill press. Anyway, let me drill the holes and I'll get back to you. Okay, so you can see that I've got most of the components, in fact, all of them, and except for the ICs, I'm just waiting. In fact, I'm waiting for the LM3915s that would go there and there. I don't know when I'm going to get it. It's a Thursday right now, so I don't think I'm going to get it before the weekend. I like to put out the videos on a Friday or a Saturday. I don't think I'm going to get this one out on that weekend. In any event, yeah, so I gotta be honest with you. This LED project, LED display graph or audio level meter, it's not as easy as you think. I mean, it looks pretty simple from there, but I found a lot of complicated problems. Well, maybe not problems, but it's not that easy is really what I'm trying to say. For one thing, the traces on the back, you can kind of see them from the top because it's a very thin board. The traces are just almost hairline. So I tried to thicken them up, like I mentioned earlier, through the editing program, but it was still not great. So I did have to patch a whole bunch of traces up. So I was a little bit disappointed there. But the other problem is there's so many connection points. So right now I'm working on the external components. So the potentiometers, the switches, that kind of stuff. And in the instructions, it really doesn't tell you where they are. So you got to search for them. Obviously, you know, I've got some empty holes here. So that's probably where some of the components or external components would go. But you have to figure it out for yourself. Now, I'm not saying that's, you know, a hard thing to do, but for the inexperienced builder, this is a very complex project. And not only that, but the as you can see, the LED board is separate, so that'll go on the faceplate, and then the board will go inside the box. But the wiring, and here are the connection points for the wiring at the bottom, they're not one-to-one. You would think that this connection here, the very one on the left, is going to be for the left LED. No, it doesn't work that way. And in fact, the left LEDs kind of go to the right, but they're all scattered, so that's going to be a problem. And what kind of got me thinking is you look at the prototype in the actual magazine, and you can see where the LEDs are, but I don't see any wires running, you know, from the left to the right. So I don't know how they did it, but it's really not a clear picture either. So I really can't see that much into it. But anyway, that's how mine's going to look eventually. I'll have some components. In fact, I'm going to put some of the pots, I think, up at the front. Maybe not. Maybe I'll leave them in the back. Anyway, I just wanted to bring you up to speed where I am on this project. Right now, I'm just working on, like I said, the external components, getting some wires on them, getting them prepped for the box that they're going to go into. So thanks for hanging in there. I know it's a long video, and I'll get back to you, I suppose, when I get everything in the box. Or maybe what I'll do is I'll see if I can wire this stuff up, the external components, to the board, and give it a test before I put it in the box. That's probably the safer thing to do. All right, so I'll be back. Okay, I just want to give you a quick update as to where I am on this project. I'm still waiting for the parts. You can see some empty IC chips in there and a couple transistors. I am hoping they come today. But in the meantime, what I've decided to do, and just to bring you up to date, is the process of how I'm going to fit the project into a case. So with the limited amount of cases I have, this is the one I'm going to use. I have a smaller one like this, but there just isn't enough real estate in terms of where all the switches and the inputs and stuff like that would go. So I had to use a bigger case. So this will be actually pushed up even more further up. And there's a lot of empty space here, but I can't do anything about that. In any event, what I've decided to do is just kind of lay out the switches and such, and the front. So this will be where the front is. What I'm going to do, just to line up these LEDs, is what I did is I just took the PC board portion of that, taped it on, so I'll be able to punch some holes, right, exactly where the LEDs should go, and then I'll drill them out. And there's two switches in here. I'm going to put them in the front, and of course we have some other switches. I can't even remember what they're for. I've got so many projects on the go right now, it's not funny. Anyway, this will accept a speaker output, and this will be line input. I'm not going to use these banana jacks. I'm going to use RCA jacks, but I just don't have them right now. And a couple switches, and then this will be for the power coming in, 9 volts AC. And yeah, so what I've done is I just kind of laid it out where everything will go. So I am ready. I'm not going to drill, only because you never know, right? I'm going to get the chips. I want to put them in, make sure this whole project works before I actually drill any holes, and therefore not waste this case. So anyway, I think the next video portion will be me testing the circuit. All right, hang on. Hey everybody, thank you for hanging in there. I know this video is getting a little bit long. So, yeah, as you can see, I've got the board on the bench, and it's hooked up to a tape deck, as you can see up there. And the line output from the tape deck goes into the line input of the VU meter. So let me just give it a little bit of gain. And as you can see, it's working. However, I'm just not proud of the fact that when I have nothing coming in, and even if I were to disconnect the inputs, it would be the same. I have the left 3, maybe 4 LEDs on all the time with no signal coming in. So, you know, I've played around with this thing for days, and I'm not joking, days. And it's the best I could do. I'm starting to think that it could be the actual LM3915s, that they maybe aren't genuine. That's my suspicion at this point, only because everything's fine. Now, the reason those 3 left LEDs are on when there is no signal input is on these, where am I here? I know it's really hard to see. In fact, let me just bring this down a little bit here. So they are fed right there. So I think it's 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, all the way down. So when there's no input, there is noise. There is some sort of a signal on there that is not right. It should be dead. There should be nothing on there, as compared to all the other pins on this side, plus these pins here on the other 3915. So, don't know. Now, there are some other problems I had. Now, so I've changed the capacitance on these capacitors here. So yeah, these should have been 3.3 according to the schematic, but I replaced them with 220. And these are power supply caps. I think they were 100. I think I used 330. They are a little bit ill-fitting, but it improves the amount of LEDs that stay on the left. So I thought I was getting somewhere, but you know, so look, it's a win. It works. These switches here control the speed, and that's a bar or a graph, and they work. There's not a problem with that. So in essence, the circuit does kind of work, but it's not worthy of a case. So I think I'm going to end the video here. It's a bit of a win. It could be the 3915s aren't genuine. Don't know. They look genuine, but I can't tell for sure, right? And where was I going? Oh yeah, the schematic. So yeah, there was in the positioning of the parts. I don't think anybody's going to be building this at home, but if you are, that transistor is actually reversed. So the emitter and collector were backwards if you were to follow the top view pictorial. So you have to change that. I blew that transistor. I figured that finally came to me near the end. Anyway, and this capacitor is reversed. It should be, can't remember which way, but it's reversed to what it's showing here. So yeah, yeah, it works, but it's not worthy of a case. So I think I'm going to end the video here. I've spent a lot of time on this project, and I think I just want to move on at this point. Anyway, thanks for watching, and if you haven't seen any of my other videos, check them out, and I'll be working on another project soon, and I'll try to get that video out as soon as I can. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.